I'll need to give y'all an update. I don't want y'all to lose sight of the plot before we get into Trump, before we get into his executive orders, property taxes with Ron DeSantis, before we get into the UAW president. I want to go to 50 Cent down there to Shreveport, Louisiana. Before we get into that, I got to give y'all an update on what's going on with this migrant crisis. All right. So 17 felon migrants, suspects, they call them suspects, but they weren't suspects. They were actually real felons, is deported to El Salvador under the Title 8 authority. And Tom Homan is sharing his thoughts on it. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. This is what's happening with the illegal migrants and are continuing to prevent people from coming over here illegally while getting people that are not supposed to be here out of here.
Administration uses its Title 8 authority to deport more violent criminal migrants to El Salvador's prison. Among them, 7 alleged Trinidad members, plus one of the gang leaders. 6 are implicated in sexual abuse of a minor and 3 suspected murderers.
So let me just say this before we get over to Tom Homan really quickly. All right, guys, let me just say this. What is it with people that are over here illegally being into small children? What is that? What is the fetish that these people have with younger kids? Before we even deep dive into the deportations and Tom Homan and all of this stuff, I was once looking at an article where they were saying it was some guys, I think it was somewhere in Africa or something like that, South Africa, where they felt as though they can get rid of their diseases, their STIs and STDs, by taking advantage of young people. Have y'all ever heard of that before? King Ali TV says 85% of PDF files are Caucasian. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about illegal migrants. I'm not even talking about people that's here in the United States of America or that's from the United States of America. That's a different conversation. What I'm asking is, what is the fetish for people that are not from here? Y'all have read that before? I've read that before too. What is the fetish of people that are not from here? And what kind of mindset do they have when they have an intentional thing for young girls? What is that? Y'all said that that's the culture in Mexico too? Age limit legality varies by country. I remember that in certain parts of Africa years ago with AIDS. Yeah, they felt for whatever reason that they can get rid of their AIDS by being with a younger, like, and I ain't even just talking about younger like a little girl. I'm talking about little, like little. And I'm like, what? I read that before and it turned my stomach. It turned it. I was just like, oh, I was just like so disgusted, honest to God. What is it with it? Because I've read it when it came to Arabic countries, and maybe I'm unfamiliar and maybe you guys can educate me a little bit, right? When it comes to that, when it came to over in Dubai, I've read it about that. I've read it in South Africa. I've read it in a lot of people. Yeah, like kindergarten age. What is it about young people that is so enticing? And I'm talking about children, that is so enticing about a lot of these guys that come over here. Because even if you look at some of the stuff that they got arrested for, look at this. 7 alleged Trinidad members, one leader, and look at some of the crimes. 6 implicated in sexual abuse of minors. What the hell is that? I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it, but let's get back into the video.
Our Tom Homan joins us now. Tom, welcome back to the program. You guys promised that you were going to do this. These folks were under final deportation order. This is why you were able to get rid of them quickly, right?
Yeah, like I said last week when we talked, Lawrence, I said, despite what Judge Brosberg says, we're going to continue to arrest members of MS-13 in Trinidad and remove them under Title 8. We'll hold off on the Alien Enemies Act, but that's all being litigated. But we're going to take these people off the street every day, 24/7 across this country. We're not letting up.
Somebody in the chat says the age of consent in Mexico is 10 years old. Is that true? Is that true? Y'all let me know in the chat if that's true. Somebody in the chat, because I know that I got to do the research and I got to double check before we just take that at face value, because that's some crazy accusations. Somebody in the chat says that the age of consent in Mexico is 10 years old. Somebody tell me if that's true. Y'all let me know if that's true, all right?
You know, Tom, I want to get back to that final deportation order, because some of these cases are taking years to get through.
18,
Is there
that's a
any
lie.
way
Okay, that's a
to
lie.
speed up the
I thought
process
so.
to get that
don't
final
even sound logical.
deportation order?
Look, we're looking at expedited removals, looking at voluntary return, but we need EOIR, the immigration courts need to reestablish
y'all do some research and let me know what it is.
Those immediate cases that came across the border, litigate them first. But immigration judges, we need more immigration judges, and I think more action on the most violent first, right? Let's concentrate on the criminal aliens. But under current structure, those who are in detention get a hearing within like 40 days. If you're not in detention, it can take 5 to 7 years. So we need to make sure ICE continues doing what they're doing. Focus on the public safety threats, national security threats, lock them up, detain them, because they get attention first. So we got to just expand on what we're currently doing and put more bad guys in detention, have the hearings done quickly.
So in the final
5 to 7 years? Really?
days, Tom, the past administration tried to extend TPS.
15?
So the administration got rid of it. Your administration under Don.
Yeah, that's pretty disrespectful. You're telling me that the age of consent, some people are saying that the age of consent in some of these states inside of the United States of America is 15. It varies between 12 and 15. Yeah, that's pretty bad, bro. That's pretty bad. And I remember doing a show some years ago where guys was willing to come on camera and argue me down that is logical because it is legal. And then they referenced people in yesteryear and years back and hundreds of years ago when, women was grown, or women was able to do this, or women had to do housework and all of this other stuff. Yeah, we also had slavery back then too. And people justified that also. And just because they did it back in the day doesn't mean it's logical now. And now that we know more information, is no reason why we should justify doing this illegal, illogical stuff. And I think that people need to be locked up when they start to have a fetish for and start to even look at girls that is that young. That's crazy to me. That is so crazy to me. And I'm a look at you crazy. I don't care what's legal in what country or whatever. I'm gonna look at you like you're crazy. But more importantly, they bring that junk over here, man. You would not believe the amount of stuff that is brought over here into the United States of America that spiritually is demonic and it is infectious. And when you get around it, people try to justify it. It is some real monsters out here. Some real monsters. And they bring that culture over here and they normalize it. And next thing you know, we see laws being changed. And now you see people can go in each other's bathrooms. Honestly, I do believe that it's a spirit. You cannot convince me that it's not a spirit.
Donald Trump's leadership got rid of it quickly. A federal judge is disagreeing with this, but it's the reasoning that got me. This is what he said in his ruling. There's no evidence that Venezuelan TPS holders are members of the TDA gang, have connections to the gang, and or commit crimes. Generalization of criminality to the Venezuelan TPS population as a whole is baseless and smacks of racism, predicated on generalized false stereotypes. The administration didn't bring stereotypes to the court. That's not the reason for getting rid of TPS. So what is this judge talking about?
Look, it's another activist judge making a stupid ruling. It just doesn't make sense. I've been around since 1984, Lawrence, and the TPS, temporary protected status, is never temporary. And President Trump is going to do his job by the rule of law. The law says temporary status. Once the conditions in that country they're from, once the conditions change, then people should be removed from the United States. It's only a temporary status. For instance, if there's a hurricane and it devastates a part of a country, we'll give them TPS until that country gets back on their feet. But TPS isn't meant to be decades long. So President Trump, who's promised American people, we're going to enforce the laws enacted by Congress and signed by the president. We're going to use the laws of this country to secure the border and enforce our immigration law. That's exactly what we're doing. TPS needs to be temporary in nature. We need to follow the rule of law and not some advice from an activist judge who makes a foolish ruling, not based on law, but based on opinion. If you look at that decision, it's based on opinion, not the rule of law, and that's what we need to get back to. So look, we'll litigate it and we'll appeal it and we'll win.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Tom, the Rochester Police Department is under a lot of scrutiny because they got an officer assist call from ICE, and they showed up for the call. This is what their union is saying, Tom. Let's watch it.
Our policy is also to back up other officers who need help. We report on this all the time about an officer killed during a traffic stop. It is one of the most dangerous times for an officer to have. You have a vehicle that the occupants are refusing to get out. It was a van. Turns out there was 8 people in that van, and our officers did an excellent job of de-escalating that situation.
Tom, aren't you proud of those law enforcement officers for doing their job? Answering.
Police officers today are much different than police officers of yesteryear. They don't even assist anymore in most places. Police officers, man, let me tell you something, bro. Honestly, and shout out to Tom Homan, shout out to ICE for continuing to get people that's not supposed to be up out of here, out of the United States of America. Let me tell you something about police officers. Nobody is scared of police officers anymore. There's no fear of breaking the law because nobody believes that anything is going to happen. Zero fear whatsoever. You know what police officers are there to do? Try to talk to people and de-escalate the situation. Illegal migrants don't even fear police officers anymore. They have zero fear. Like, nobody is tripping if you get pulled over. Nobody is scared. They talk to police officers any kind of way. You used to be afraid. You used to be afraid of the jump out boys. It used to be a whole, nope. Black people are not afraid. G Money. Nope. Black people ain't even a little bit afraid. We have we have made our police officers so docile. They just don't want to get in trouble, and they trying to make sure that they make it home every day. They not trying to buzz heads. They not trying to stop crime. They're not trying to do any of that stuff. Police officers have been neutered. They have been neutered. Nobody is scared of police officers anymore. They come there to try to de-escalate the situation. Hey, be quiet. Shh, shh, shh. They might as well be called public safety officers or security guards with guns on. Real talk. Nobody is tripping off of police officers anymore. Ain't nobody even scared no more. You can say what you want. You can do what you want. They be catching hell. Hell. They just be trying to get home. Real talk. Jump Out Boys was different. That's what cleaned up New York City. Stop and frisk. Stop and frisk cleaned up New York City. Shout out to Tom Homan and shout out to everybody that's a part of the administration.